Reports of DPS mistreating migrants crossing the border, some coming from troopers assigned to the mission. How the agency's responding to the accusations.
Governor Abbott's buoy barriers invite lawsuits from Eagle Pass to Washington, D.C. The facts and the fallout.
Ken Paxton in court. He faces a criminal case separate from his upcoming impeachment, why the Senate trial could affect the process. A new law aims to keep children away from sexually oriented performances, but some performers say it goes too far, what they're doing to push back.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. We've told you how the buoy barriers the state placed in the Rio Grande led to a lawsuit from the federal government. A Texas business owner is also suing, claiming the barriers are illegal and causing damage to the river's natural state. We wanted to see for ourselves. Our Capitol correspondents made the journey to Eagle Pass, where they got special access to the waters of the Rio Grande. Our Ryan Chandler kayaked to the buoys to give us an up-close look at the barrier fueling the controversy.
We live and die by how the river flows. It's beautiful. It can be beautiful. It used to be beautiful on both sides. And for as long as I've been alive, it's never looked like that. I just can't believe what they're doing to this river.
For the Texans of Eagle Pass, the Rio Grande is not just a border, but a way of life. A beauty, now threatened by barbs and buoys.
The whole banks, they're gone. These islands, 4 of them, they're gone. How do you think I feel? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I care. This is about the river.
We joined Jesse Fuentes on the water to kayak to the state's new buoy barriers. He's trying to take them out and take Governor Abbott to court.
Our community's hurting, our culture's hurting, our reputation is hurting, I'm hurting, the river's hurting. So, solve the problem.
After a long kayak through the Rio Grande, we arrived at the edge of these 1,000 feet of buoy barriers that have sparked controversy nationwide, but don't appear to be stemming migration in Eagle Pass. On the way here, we witnessed at least 24 migrants make their way across the shallow ends of this buoy barrier, avoiding this area altogether.
And if people don't take care of it, everybody's gonna suffer.
Suffering was already painfully apparent. Cries pierced the early morning as we passed migrants young and old reaching the razor wire, undeterred by the buoys.
Mejor futuro.
A better future, Joanina says. After a 20-day journey from Venezuela, that motivation pulls stronger than the current. In Eagle Pass, Ryan Chandler, State of Texas.
On Wednesday, authorities found a body stuck in the buoy barrier on the Rio Grande. DPS Director Steve McGraw said preliminary evidence suggests the victim drowned upstream, then floated into the barrier, but it's not clear if the buoys had anything to do with that person's death. The Biden administration is taking Texas to court to stop the use of the buoys. The lawsuit claims they violate the Federal Rivers and Harbors Act. Governor Greg Abbott said the state will fight to keep the buoys in place.
First of all, the statute on which the lawsuit is based does not seem to apply to the buoys that are at issue. But second, even if it does, I believe that the constitutional right of the state of Texas to secure our border and to defend our sovereignty supersedes any statute. The last thing I'll make clear, and that is I cannot predict what may happen in a trial court. What I can tell you for certainty is that Texas is going to take this case all the way to the United States Supreme Court to defend the rights guaranteed to us in the United States Constitution.
DPS tells us it's too early to determine if the buoys have been effective at deterring migration, but a spokesperson tells us the barriers have been able to push people to certain areas of the border. That lets DPS free up manpower, but as you saw, people are still crossing outside established ports of entry. There are concerns about how DPS is treating those people. Some troopers assigned to the border mission reported people being denied water and being pushed back into the river. Ryan asked the DPS spokesperson about those concerns.
We watched at least a couple dozen people try to enter the United States through the banks of the river, often walking through that concertina wire today.
I know you have refuted the recent reports of DPS troopers pushing people back into the river. And I was actually glad to see today that some troopers were throwing out water to people who needed it or helping people up the banks of the river if they were stuck in this wire. What is the official policy for how DPS should assist or not assist people who are on the American banks trying to get up?
Well, there's no policy as far as how we're going to distribute water. I mean, there is a policy as far as how we value life, how we preserve life and public safety, regardless of who's coming across, whether they're American citizens or not. Once they're in the United States, our goal is to preserve life, right? To value that human life. But as far as water goes, we tell the troopers to use their judgment, to use observations based on those that need it, based on those that are in distress, especially children, especially now with the summer heat. Of course, we don't have 1,000 bottles of water to give out every single day. That's just it's not the case. But those that actually need it, we tell our troopers, use your judgment.
At least 5 officers have raised concerns about DPS policies. The department's inspector general is investigating. An update now to a story we brought you last week. Texas A&M University announced it reached a $1 million settlement with a black journalism professor after attempts to hire her unraveled. Kathleen McElroy oversees the University of Texas journalism program, but A&M held a signing ceremony back in June to announce they were hiring her to lead the school's journalism program. Then the deal fell apart. McElroy claimed it was because of pushback over her past work promoting diversity. A report released by the university revealed messages from conservative regents unhappy with the plan to hire McElroy. After events surrounding the failed hiring became public, A&M President Catherine Banks resigned. When announcing the settlement, A&M admitted mistakes were made during the hiring process. Ken Paxton appears in court. How his upcoming impeachment trial could affect a long-delayed criminal case facing the suspended Attorney General. A new Texas law is supposed to keep children from seeing sexually oriented performances, but does it go too far?
It could impact Broadway musicals, it could impact karaoke nights at restaurants, it could really impact any kinds of performance or visual presentation.
How some performers are pushing to block the law.